We're going to start this morning with yin. Not a surprise. And of course, we're going to go into our yang, kind of fiery practice a little bit. But I'm thinking to do a little bit more yin and transition. So it's about half and half today. How does that feel for all of y'all? All of you wearing stripes today. Okay.
I'm very in the yin mood, so that's very nice.
Okay, perfect. Pepe, does that work for you? We're going to start in Sphinx. So let your elbows slide in front of your shoulders, just ever so slightly, shoulder distance apart. You can take your legs out as wide as your yoga mat. You can wiggle your hips side to side and kind of release a little bit. And then just start with a couple really slow neck rolls. And once you've completed one direction, switch it up. You can, of course, add in the kissy face for some face yoga. So pursing your lips as you stretch your lips and your whole face and your neck up to one direction, about 45 degrees, and up to the other. And then up to the sky. And then when you're finished rolling and kissing universe good morning, you can do a couple of wows. So you just wow, 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 wow. Let it be dramatic on your face. Let it feel it in your ears. Beautiful. And then find stillness. Feel your hips be a little heavier. Notice if you can imagine letting your skin settle. And just take a couple moments here and see if maybe you remember some dreams. Or maybe a feeling that you woke up with. And then take a couple of breaths to help you guide your attention to your thinking. And just notice, even if it's only been a short time, notice how your thinking has been this morning. And then with your next inhale, just slowly lower down and stack your forearms and rest your forehead onto your forearms, allowing your neck to be neutral here. You can wiggle your hips side to side to release any tension in your lower back. And then lift up your head and reach your right arm out to the right and take your gaze to the left. Hug your knees up to your chest on your left-hand side. And on some days, this might be as far as you go. But if you want to take the next step, you can take your left foot and put it on to the floor behind your right heel. You can make sure that you have a pillow or something to rest your head on. And then if you want to take it a little bit further, feel free to reach your left arm up, stretch it out and reach behind you and see if you can hold hands. So the reach might be enough for some of you. And you want to be able to hold hands without sacrificing the alignment of the right arm. So you don't want to bring the arm into a totally different place to hold hands. You can wiggle a little bit, but you want to keep your arms like relatively coming straight out of your shoulders here. And then if you have a little bit more twist in your spine, maybe you want to bring your left foot to the ground. But any step on the way here already serves the same purpose in the pose, and starting to put intentional pressure into the shoulders so that when we come out of the pose, the release is really part of the healing element. And this is true of a lot of yoga poses, that the shape of the pose creates a tourniquet. And when you come out of it, it's the fresh oxygenated blood with its new velocity that restores and refreshes your body. And so while you're here in this quite uncomfortable position, I've yet to meet someone who's like, oh yeah, it's really comfy. Just take a couple moments and notice how you're feeling this morning. In this time we're in, where all of these inadequacies, imbalances, injustices are being revealed in so many different ways. You may have noticed that sometimes it feels like you have a storm of emotions, that it's not just a cause and effect directly of what it, the conversations you were actually part of, or it's not just the relationships of the people you see. But you might even notice in the realm of our heart, this force of integration. It includes the stories you hear from far away. It includes, I imagine it includes like things that are carried on the wind that we don't even have words for, that are part of this world. But feeling the fire of other people, feeling the unrest, maybe even of the planets. And that one of our jobs in our feeling, it's a little bit like food, like you want to digest it, you want to let it move through you and be transformed by you. Even noticing feelings like shame or malice or envy or these darker, kind of harder feelings to notice. Our witnessing helps that digestion process. Our work with that helps, I like to imagine, even the whole world. As we work with these things a little bit, it helps someone else energetically work with the same thing. Now roll back onto your belly, wiggle your right fingers, make sure they still all work. And you'll feel like you don't want to move, but your movement will actually restore your sensation of feeling like yourself. So take a little moment to rebound, a full breath, at least. Maybe a sigh or a cry. And then stretch your left arm out. Hug your knees up to your chest on your other side. And then this is as far as you maybe go today. Or maybe you want to step your right foot behind your left leg so your knee points up to the ceiling. Maybe you want to reach up with your right hand and reach back and hold with your right hand, hold your left hand. Maybe you want to bring both feet onto the ground. And then take a couple moments and just notice and witness your physical body. Part of our practice here is to strengthen and condition or temper our body so that we have the capacity to digest our feelings, so that we have kind of this small piece of earth that we're fashioning and transforming to host our thinking and our dreams and our desires. That we have enough clarity and connection that we can discern. Because often desire comes in kind of at least two layers. There's one which is the immediate, like you want to serve your body and be comfortable or feel pleasure. Understandably. But when we hold that just in the moment, it can turn to hedonism or just kind of a seduction or spell of self-gratification and consumption and pleasure. But when we are quiet enough, we can start to notice we have another desire. Perhaps a higher desire that is also pleasurable. But maybe not as instantaneous. So this pleasure of creating strength in our body, for instance, we have to muscle through these weak and awkward and challenging times. And when we reach further than just immediate gratification or just soothing our own wounds, soothing our own feelings with our body, we start to notice that our body can really support our capacity to share and to give and to be of service. Also a desire in us. Feel about balance. One of my teachers, Carolyn May, she talks about how like light and dark work in very similar ways. But these experiences of the light are just a little less flashy, a little less immediate, or as she put it, less sexy. But maybe we can imagine the sacrifice of the momentary sexy for this soul-reaching beauty. You know, that kind of beauty where it stops you in your tracks, or you catch your breath, or you feel more alive because of it. Take 5 more full deep breaths here. And then roll onto your belly to rebound. Allowing sound to help you move feeling through your body, or maybe a little shaking or wiggling to help move sensation. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Push your hips back to child's pose. Cross your ankles and roll over your ankles, stretching your legs out in front of you. And so it's important, especially with like the first forward bend in the class, to not push too much. So just wiggle your legs, see that they're nice and relaxed. Maybe sitting on a block if your ribs aren't over your hips, you could say. So if you're like behind yourself, sit on something. And then today, just walk your hands and just take your hands and actually like squeeze your legs a little bit. Maybe massage your knees a little bit. I know it sounds weird, but for some of us, we're really missing touch and not getting enough hugs. So take a couple moments to just squeeze your legs. Maybe a little bit of warmth. And then softly roll down, letting your head hang. In the morning, our bodies are a little less flexible, so we meet our edge faster. So take a full breath in, and with your exhale, just sigh out and soften that edge. Notice your tongue relaxed, your jaw. We can imagine the more that we allow our practice to invite us to our edges, whether it's between strength or flexibility, or I guess the edge would be between strength and weakness, and flexibility and stiffness. That in kind of fostering and working with these boundaries and edges, We're actually creating capacity to carry stronger passions, a more fiery soul, wilder ideas, more generous acts. Now, we're going to do a little yogi's choice here. You can either stay in caterpillar a little longer, or if you are up for it, you can roll into plow. So plow is where you roll your feet up over your head. And it's quite a yang yin posture. You can take your hands to your lower back. And if your feet don't touch the ground yet, you can either put your feet on the couch if you have one there, or you can bend your knees and bring your knees towards your forehead. You can even, that's not your forehead. You can even, yeah, if it's there for you. You can support your lower back. This is helpful. It's not cheating. Now, if you're comfortably in plow pose, you can stretch your legs in such a way that you feel your thighs reaching for the ceiling. But again, we're doing this yin, so you want to be a little bit more weighty. It's so interesting to notice how much we still have to learn about yin and coming into balancing out our tremendously yang world. And when I describe this practice of kind of building the container to host our nature, that is very much a yin impulse. Every time that we are cultivating something that holds, making a container, a place to be, that is the work of yin. And I often imagine it like shaping the body of a cello or a guitar. And it's that shape and holding that allows the empty space within it to be a tool and part of the instrument. It comes alive. Now bend your knees if you haven't already and let your knees come to your ears. If you want, you can take your hands back to your behind your knees and pull your knees down towards the ground. If you're blessed with a very open body this morning, you can actually interlace your fingers beyond your spine, but try just bringing your hands to your legs. Awesome. Well, you kind of knew that was going to happen, didn't you? And then roll your way out of the pose. And just lay on your back for a moment, feeling the pose still kind of echoing through your body. And then lift up to your elbows and bring your feet together. So we're going to do fish pose. So your knees fall open in the yin version of Baddha Konasana. Yes. And then you can let your head hang back if it's okay for your neck. If it's not okay for your neck, just bring your chin to your chest. And about halfway through, we're gonna lower our upper bodies to the ground. So if you find that you get there a little faster than I do, feel free to just slide your elbows out and lie down sooner. In its very nature, yin is connected to mystery, to that which is secret or hidden or submerged. Where the yang protection comes from standing big and fiery, yin has a protection of becoming invisible or hidden, to move without being tracked, without making a sound. So often, if we can't deal with an emotion or a thought or a situation or experience in a fiery outward way, when we're reacting, sometimes instead of moving that way, we do the other thing where we just let it go dark. We try to hide it even from ourselves. So, in our exploration of yin and the feminine, instead of lighting a flame to get to know that, we need to test our bravery to go where it's dark and use our other senses. Let your upper body come down to the ground, letting your elbows slide out to the side. Your knees can still relax down towards the earth. Feel free to bring your hands either over your head or on your belly. Or sometimes in this pose, I also really like to just put my hands kind of in the crease of my hips, on the hip flexors. And you can feel the warming salve of your hands, really. So what a lot of us have had, we've grown up with stories about, being that knight with the fiery sword, or, being outwardly courageous. But as our world turns inside out, we may be struck with how much this time is calling for the courage that is of a totally different nature. It's not one of brawn and muscle, but the courage of insight, the courage to ask, to see the mystery. The courage to look at something we don't understand yet. And then stretch your legs out. Come into a mini Shavasana here. In some of the most ancient texts in Chinese medicine, they talk about how chi, the life force, the life energy, in its heaviest form is earth. And in its lightest form, it's heaven. And then where heaven and earth meet is the human. And then you're going to bend your knees and slide your heels closer to your buttocks with your feet on the ground. And with your inhale, just roll up your hips a little bit, maybe slide your feet slightly away from your buttocks so it's not like squeezed. Yeah. Lift up your hips and then start to just drop your hips down a couple times. So it's like you can imagine you're lightly kind of tapping your sacrum awake. Maybe a little lighter. And you can do like a couple of just like shaking it. Maybe you can feel the back of your thighs shaking, your calves shaking, maybe your hip cushions shaking. Wait, that's me, not him. And then relax your shaking, and with your inhale, feel that you can breathe into your lower belly, arching your lower back. And then with your exhale, pull your belly button to your spine, flattening out the curve in your lower back. And then inhale, breathe into that bottom part of your belly, filling up, keeping your hips still on the ground for these first couple of rounds. And then exhale, pulling your belly button down, squishing your stomach down to the spine and the floor. Inhale to the lower part of your belly. Feel your belly fill up, your lower back arch. And then exhale, feel the exodus of the air help flatten your spine to the earth. And now inhale, start to lift your hips up. And then with your exhale, roll your hips back down. So we're going to do this 4-part. Inhale, fill into your lower belly, arching your lower back, hips on the ground. Exhale, empty out, flattening your back, hips on the ground. Inhale, start to roll your hips up to the sky, maybe even reaching your arms up over your head. And then with your exhale, bringing your arms down and rolling your spine 1 vertebrae at a time down to the ground. Inhale, breathe into your lower belly, fuel up. Exhale, flatten out your lower back, empty out. Inhale, lift up your hips, your arms can raise up. Feel the fluidity of your motion. Go to your zenith. And with your exhale, roll back down 1 vertebrae at a time. Let your hands relax. Breathe into your lower belly. Arch your lower back. Exhale, push the ground away. Flatten your back. Inhale, lift up your hips, raising your arms up over your head. And then exhale, roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. We're going to do 2 more rounds this way. Breathe into your lower belly. Flatten your back out. Inhale, let your hips sail up. Exhale, roll back down. Inhale, breathe into your lower belly. Exhale, empty your air. Flatten your back. Inhale, lift up your hips. And exhale, bring it all back down. And then slide your feet out and let your knees fall back together. Take your hands to your belly or your chest. And then hug your knees into your chest and rock and roll about, like do a whole circle. Do your spine massage circle. So classically from the Ashtanga practice, it would be 9 times that you want to take to get exactly back to the same place. And then you might have enough momentum to jump back and find your way into tabletop. Yes, or you don't jump and you just gently roll. And then you bring your knees underneath your hips, your hands underneath your shoulders. And we're going to do a little bit of the same thing in a way. With your inhale, lift up your head, your heart, and your hips. Come into cow. Really feel the stretch in the whole front part of your body. And then with your exhale, pull your belly button up, like as if your belly button's directing the scene. Let your back arch. Maybe you want to push down with your hands so your knees float a little bit. And then inhale, lift up into cow. Feel your shoulders pulling down your back, your hips separating. And then exhale, come into cat. At the end of your cat, when you've squeezed out as much air as you can, squeeze a little bit more as you float your knees. And then inhale, lift up into cow. And then exhale, come into cat. I'm totally looking at a cat outside the window. And float your knees. And let's take a couple breaths here with your knees floating. It's a little bit of like you're starting the fire in the pit of your stomach. And then bring your knees back down. Inhale, lift up into cow, and then let your cow get sassy and wiggly. So you're bringing your right shoulder to your right hip, your left shoulder to your left hip. Maybe your hips are swinging side to side. Imagining you have a nice tail that can whip around and give you space. And then find your way to a neutral spine. And you want to come into this happy medium. So you're engaging your abdominals, but you're not squeezing the life out of them. Nice. Now inhale, stretch your right arm forward, stretch long through your fingertips. Pull your belly up with your exhale, lower belly engage, and inhale, lift up your left leg. Now imagine your left foot and your right hand have a tug of war, reach really long, and then with your exhale, arch your back and bring your elbow and knee to touch. Inhale, stretch long. Exhale, tap it in, pull your belly in, feel the lift when you're empty. Inhale, stretch long when you're full, expanding. Exhale, feel the lightness of emptiness. Then inhale, stretch long. And then bend your elbow and knee, and you're going to slide your left knee out to your left so your thigh is coming straight out of your hip. You want to feel that you're lifting up your knee and then lifting up your elbow. Now, if this is too easy, feel free to stretch your left leg straight out, reaching with your heel instead. Oh, yeah. And then inhale, stretch your leg back to center, reach your arm forward, and then reach back with your right hand and catch your left ankle. Flex your left foot, making sure now you really are testing, is your left hand underneath your shoulder? Push your left hand down so you're not collapsing in your shoulder, and kick your foot back, your heel away from your buttocks. Feel the opening in your front, in your chest, in your heart. And then extend your limbs on the long horizontal line first, and then come back and get sassy with your cow. Little wiggle, exactly. Wiggle around a little bit, your intermission here. Great idea. You can add some wrist rolls, or just turning your fingers in the opposite direction. And then roll the other way. Very nice, very nice. And then find your way into a neutral spine again. Feel the attention and engagement of your abdominals. Feel your back strong. And with your inhale, stretch your left arm straight forward. And then add your right leg. And really pull your limbs to the midline and feel your abdominals engage even more. Inhale, get longer. With your exhale, bend your elbow and knee together. Inhale, get longer. Exhale, tap it in, pull your belly up. Empty out. Hollow or holy. Inhale, stretch long. I think we had one more. Tap it in. Then inhale, stretch long. And then you're going to bend your left elbow, keeping your elbow high, and bend your right knee. So you want to imagine that your elbow and knee are on like the same tabletop. It should be hard. If it's not hard enough, stretch your right leg straight out. And you can balance that, of course, with a straight arm if you'd like. And then inhale, come back to the center line. Stretch your left arm forward, your right leg back. And then bend your right knee and reach back with your left hand. Flex your right foot. Feel that you can open up your chest here. You need resistance to open here. Beautiful. Explore the pose. Feel that your right hand is below your right shoulder. And then without going splat, just reach your left arm forward and your right leg back. And then come back down to all fours. And then just do some circles with your hips. So you're going forward and backwards, left to right kind of thing. So instead of just having your hips over your knees, like move your hips more forward when you're turning forward. Yeah, make a bigger circle. And your hips can come back further. Yeah, find a nice big circle here. And then come again to neutral. Find your abdominals engaged and a little bit of a curve in your lower back, just like when you're standing. So it's a little bit of anterior tilt. Feel like you're sticking your butt back, making your butt look fluffy. Yes, I said that. And then push down and forward with your hands and lift up into downward facing dog with your knees bent. So I want you to really have your knees bent here. Very nice. And then you're going to straighten your left leg and bend your right knee, bringing your knee towards the center, and then vice versa. So you have your feet on the ground and you're just doing little twists here. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, you got it, Mila. And then straighten your legs. Find or go towards straight. You can keep your knees bent forever if you need to. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, empty your breath all the way. Look forward and walk your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. Let your head drop. Push down with your feet and roll all the way up to the sky. Reach up tall. And with your exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, stretch your arms out and up, gathering the energy around you. Exhale, bringing your hands through heart center to be gentle on your back. Start to bow forward, bending your knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel your chest broadening, and then step back to plank. And let's breathe here. So we're having a little bit of different flavor class today. So get fiery internally. Feel the power and strength in your body. Feel your heels reaching back, allows your chest to move forward. And when you have these opposite forces, you feel more full and more powerful. Take another full inhale as you reach forward to your tippy toes and then lower down through chaturanga. Come to the floor if you want. Lift up either low cobra or upward facing dog. Make your legs strong. This is your power. And then the expression is in your back. And then with your next exhale, find your way to downward facing dog. Let your knees be soft. Pull your hips up and back. Take one full breath in. Breathe it out. Look forward and lightly hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. Bend your knees softly as you rise up, roll up, stretch up high. And then exhale, Samastitihi. Bring your hands to heart center and drop your hands down. Now inhale, stretch your left arm up to the sky and reach back with your right hand. Sorry, bring your right elbow into your waist and reach back with your right hand. And we're coming into dancer pose. So squeeze your knees together. Lifting up your right knee, catching it inside of your foot. Now, moving slowly is another way to build tremendous amounts of strength. So keep your gaze lifted in front of you. See how lifted and tall you can be in your upper body. And then kick your right foot into your right hand, coming into dancer pose. And then inhale, lift up tall. Don't drop your foot. You're going to lift up your knee. Your foot never even touches the ground. Lift up your foot in front of you and catch your knee. Or if you're a dancer or woke up flexible this morning, catch your toes and bring both hands to your right foot or knee. And first, you're going to start to drop your head down a little bit here. So you can hold on to your knee and you're just doing a little bit of that. Yes, very nice. And then inhale, lift up tall. Take your left hand to your left hip and see if you can take your right leg out to the right and take your gaze to the left. And then return back to center and drop your right foot down. Make some standing hip rolls. And then stretch your right arm up to the sky. Bring your left elbow into your waist, palm facing up. Hold on to the inside of your left foot. So if you notice that you twisted your arm and you feel like you're being held up back by your shoulder, it's because you're giving yourself a shoulder lock. So allow your palm to be up, grab onto your foot, and then slowly move into dancer pose. So you want to feel how upright can you get your torso. Reach up. Be at your edge, which is, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I might fall over. That's that spot we're looking for. Our place of becoming. Yeah, beautiful. And then gracefully lift upright and just lift your left knee in front of you. Holding on to your knee with your hands. Or if you have a little bit more flexibility, hold onto your foot with both hands. Stretch your leg out and start to bring your chin to your chest and your forehead to your knee. And then inhale, come catching your knee again, if that's appropriate, or your toes. Take your left leg out to the left and take your gaze to the right. So you're actively reaching something to the left while you're looking in the opposite direction. And then return to center. Bring your feet down to the ground. Do a couple of hip rolls, maybe in the opposite direction. Step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift your arms up. And with your exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift, drag your chest forward. Now either jump to chaturanga or step to plank and lower all the way down or halfway down. Inhale, your favorite back bend here, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, empty your breath all the way and either just drop your knees to the ground or jump your feet through. And then catch your thighs. Let your heart lift up. If you can, have your feet lined up with your knees. If it's too much for you, you can always start building your abdominal strength, even supporting yourself here. And then stretch your arms forward or maybe lift your legs straight up. Now with your next exhale, come down to low boat, high boat, low boat, high boat, low boat, high boat, low boat, high boat. Okay, pandemic boat. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. Ah! Shake everything. Feel the fire in you. You got this. Reach your arms wide and then lie down. Hug your knees to your chest. And then take your knees to your left. Let your gaze go to your right. Take a full breath in and with your exhale, just sigh out. So we didn't follow our normal course. So maybe you didn't get as sweaty as you're used to. But notice that even the slowness can have fire in it. And then hug your knees back to your chest and slowly drop your knees to the other side. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, sigh out. Notice what's alive in you. And then hug your knees back to center. Lift up your face and kiss your knees. Thank you. Stretch your body long. And find your way into Shavasana. So the idea here is that it's called corpse pose. So if sleep is the little brother of death, this is like just a little baby brother. So let your eyes close. Feel the solidness support you. See how much you can let your body be still, soft, and relaxed, but keeping the fire of your attention here in your body, in your room. With your next inhale, start to enliven your body with your breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And maybe even think of something you're grateful for that helps you smile. And then roll onto your side, hugging your knees to your chest. Feel the vitality, the vibration, and your life forces. And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. Feel the ground below you. Lift up tall, close your eyes. Maybe even think of someone who just needs a little power, a little love. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. Ah. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine love. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much light. Thank you so much.